Alright guys, here's our throttle bodies. Went ahead and tried to clean them up the best I could with some acid and some aluminum cleaner, but just wasn't cutting it. They weren't consistent, some were blotchy. So I ended up just painting them wrinkle black. Came out all right. Seems like everything I do now is wrinkle black, but regardless. I also marked these prior to taking them off so I keep everything organized. I just kind of stamped lightly in there. 4, 3, 2, 1. This is the first one. Your throttle position sensor will be mounted on here. The linkage I went with is from SQ Engineering. I'll post a link below. They also have some very detailed instructions on how to install this guy. So I recommend you check that out first before just kind of going at it. They have 2 different kinds. This is a down pole linkage, and they also make a down, I think it's called reverse down pole one, but check your application, see what you want to do with it, and go with that. So how to put this on is you take your second throttle body here, and you don't need to cut anything for the down pole setup, which I did, so this is what not to do. But it doesn't really matter because you're not utilizing this anymore anyway. So I cut it and rounded it off. I thought I needed to do this, but I was actually looking at the wrong instructions, but doesn't matter. Maybe for my benefit. But anyway, it's gonna sit right here like this. There's kind of only one way to put this on. It's kind of beveled on one side, so you can't really put it anywhere else. I mean, that's kind of out there, but so that'll go there. And this is what we cut off. Clearly we didn't need to, but it doesn't hurt. Take your bolts, and you're not gonna be using your lock washer anymore. You're just gonna use one nut here. You don't want to tighten this with an impact or anything. Obviously you'll destroy things. There's barely any thread holding on here. As you'll see when you take them off, there's only half. So you don't want to go crazy with this. So just tighten them by hand or with a wrench rather than by hand, obviously. That's it, let's go put them on. Moving on to our interior, we're going to address the gas pedal situation, which I'm a little nervous about. I don't know how we're going to make some brackets to get this thing to fit, but anyway, the pedal assembly you use is out of an MR2. I think it's 84 to 86. It's called AWl11. Same as the steering rack, or I think it's assisted steering rack. So Speed Academy is another group of guys that did a similar build. And this is pretty much textbook exactly what they did. I just want to show you the way I use, or I make my own bracket to get this pedal to sit in the correct position. So I'm gonna place it here, and I'm gonna utilize these 2 holes as my reference points to make my bracket off of this. And then if I need to, build up here so I can bring this out. And the reason for that is because the pedal sits kind of low compared to the rest of them. I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but it's significantly maybe 2-3 inches lower. Option 2 would be just to mount it here and then bend the rod up to our liking. But I think I want to leave this kind of together. So I'm going to make a little bracket. We'll move it up off the firewall a little bit and get it into the right position. As far as the throttle cable, that's gonna go right through this hole. I'll drill some holes, put the bracket there, and we'll head out to the front. These are some temporary bolts that I found. Just gonna kind of run these real quick, change them out later after we get everything kind of dialed in a little better. All right, I don't know how good you guys can see everything, but let's go ahead and run this guy. It seems like a pretty tight bend, pretty crazy bend here, but we're gonna try to see if it'll, that works pretty good. Let's go ahead and do this part. Too much. Seems really sharp, but let's go ahead inside and see how it works. All right, seems pretty good. So I failed to mention that this cable is a OEM part from Toyota. It's out of an AE86. And you can get them at the dealership. I'll put the part number below. There's only a few left there. There's probably like 7 or 8 left in the nation from Toyota, but there's quite a few of these online. I think I just got lucky. I kind of gave up online, and I figured to call around some Toyota dealerships. But so I found this little piece of material I had laying around, and it seems just to fit right here. It's about 3 inches. We're gonna try to use these holes like we were saying earlier. So I'll drill 2 holes here for that, and then we'll figure out where to mount this. Or maybe we'll mount the pedal first, and then figure out where it goes in conjunction with that little bumper here. And then we'll drill the holes later, but regardless, let's put this in. There's a couple holes in here. We're gonna give it a shot. I don't really have too much material laying around the house, but cut it, and we'll see, we'll locate our holes and screw around. So, all right. So we cut it down to length here. Clean up all 4 sides. I was actually able to utilize this hole here, so I just popped another one here. And I'm having a hard time finding some screws, so we'll address that later. I'm gonna go ahead and mount this up and get our location for our pedal. I think this is pretty good. Punch these 2 holes in here, threaded them. So go ahead and mount this again. See what we got. Everything's gonna be loose. And then I'm gonna go clean this block up a little bit after in a minute. Something like that. That's it. It's a little close to the transmission tunnel here, but pop that in all the way. I think we're good. There's actually a lot of room. We can move down with everything if we want. So we can kind of tweak things a little bit. There's a little play there. Well, let's just see what happens. I might end up bending this pedal a little bit. I didn't want to, but it seems to be the right height for everything, which I like. But I don't like that it's just a little close here. Let's finish this block up, and then we'll figure out where we're gonna mount this, because the bottom screw is gonna put you right there. Which seems pretty good. It depends on, now we're gonna put the carpet in and everything, so we might not have the clearance here, but let's see what happens. We can always adjust this later, but the main thing was getting the pedal to be level with all the rest. You know, as far as everything else, we can kind of screw around with that later, because this is not like the thickest metal here. But let's go finish this up and we'll mount everything for good. All right, so here's our block, all cleaned up. I went ahead and took this down a little bit, just because I didn't really have long enough bolts. So now it'll fit nice. There you go. Have to tighten these still. I'm assuming that I'm gonna have to bend this a little bit and screw around. It's it's sort of close. I don't know. Let's see. It's not that close, I guess, but seems pretty good. Definitely gonna make a stop for this on the bottom here, so I don't rip the cable out. I think it's okay. So let's go ahead and, let's go ahead and try to see if we can make a stop. We could do that afterwards also, after we have the carpet in and everything. It looks pretty good. I think it fits nice. If it's too close to the carpet after we get everything in, obviously I'll tweak it, adjust things. You know, I'll probably just bend it over a little bit and then bend this part back so it's straight with everything. But if I do that, it's gonna make it higher a little bit, which is okay because we're kind of low, I guess we'll say. A little low from the top of the pedal, but I mean, this isn't, you know, rocket science here. We don't need to be so precise. Well, since we're in here, I guess we'll just finish this instead of coming back to it. Last part we have to do, so. I'm gonna get a ballpark of this. Maybe I'll hit right on here. see if I got something 4 inches or so, but seems we're going to be right around there. Mark this other hole here. I think we were off a little bit. So if you see, I want to hit kind of right behind there. The other one, I was hitting a little lower, which is still good, but there's like a little piece of plastic here I don't want to be resting on. So I think this is a good spot. And we can kind of manipulate this. It's soft. This shit is really soft and thin, I guess. So we're gonna have to take this pedal off. Just move it over here. So I found this threaded rod. What I'm gonna do is, or I did already, I just kind of clean the edges up, cut it to length. This is about 4 inches or so. I'm not sure if we're gonna need that, but let's go ahead and see what happens. Would sit flat, kind of like that, but let's go ahead and see if we can do this from underneath. I think it's going to be a pain in the ass. I think some of the threads are kind of stripped on this bad boy for putting in the vise. Oh, we're close. Actually, I think that's it. Okay, that's where that's gonna go. And now I'm gonna take this out, cut it to length on the bottom. We'll mount it, and I want to make a little pad or something up here so it hits it nice. Maybe a piece of rubber or something. Here's our bolt, or our threaded rod. It's all blurry. Maybe that's better. I don't know. So I found these little covers I'm going to kind of use for this. One's going to go one there, one's going to go there. This guy's going to go right on here. And it's kind of exposed a little bit. And then I'm going to just throw this little guy on top. Just like that. Paint everything black. Of course, I'll tighten them all up. So they're, you know, these two are super tight. But that way we can, like, it'll give us some adjustment, you know. So let's go ahead and put this in and see if we're at least ballpark of where we were to begin with. I think we call this massaging. Is that what it's called? Little cap. There it is. All right, guys, quick one for you today. We got done what I wanted to get done, just the throttle cable. I thought that was going to be much more of a pain in the ass than it actually was, but things went okay. Just have to kind of take your time and not rush anything. And little by little, everything kind of came together. I'm going to revisit this later on when it started. It's kind of tough. I don't think my 100% wide open throttle is adjusted correctly, and or my cable tension on the throttle bodies obviously is out of whack. So we'll see what's up. And then after that, we have to come back to it again because I'm sure that cable is stretched a little. It's brand new. Next up is going to be our cooling system. Well,
not much of a system, but my radiator and then some lines. I'll show you guys the hoses, how I make the lines. I was still waiting on some parts. I think I've written in the fan, and I think it was the shroud I'm waiting on. But as soon as those come in, I'll post another video up because I want to show you guys that all together rather than like piecing half of this and half of that. I just think it's much easier that way. So stay tuned, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.